Warhammer 40,000, Tacticus, is one of those strategy games that immediately feels like it's playing in a higher league, a game that wants you to feel the weight of every decision as you marshal forces across grim, war-torn battlefields. At its core, it's a turn-based tactical RPG, but it doesn't settle for being a simple grid duel. It wants to capture the epic scale and narrative weight of the 40K universe, and most of the time it pulls it off with style. The moment you load into a mission, you sense the atmosphere. Gothic sci-fi ruins, armored warbands clashing under cold skies, and environments that feel more battlefield than backdrop. It doesn't waste time making everything look generic. The sets, the units, the effects, they carry a design that's equal parts brutal and ornate, matching Warhammer's signature tone. What makes Tacticus compelling is how it layers strategy on top of tactical execution. When you place units and plan moves, you're balancing terrain, ability ranges, status effects, synergies, and positioning in a way that every turn can feel like a negotiation between risk and reward. Do you gamble on pushing a heavy unit forward to seize control of the middle ground? Do you hold back your support units and reserve? Each choice matters because many mission maps are unforgiving, with narrow choke points, elevation bonuses, and hazards that punish poor positioning. Combat animations embellish your choices. They don't just play out your decisions, they celebrate them. When a heavy bolter rips through enemy armor, or a psyker unleashes psychic power, the visual and audio feedback reinforce your tactical intent. Your warband is also more than a checklist. Collecting and upgrading units is woven into the experience rather than feeling like an afterthought. Each faction you bring in has its flavor, and choosing which units to promote, equip, or slot in becomes a metagame unto itself. The gear system, ability upgrades, and faction synergies encourage thoughtful growth over mindless power creep. It helps that the rewards for playing, campaign missions, raids, live events, are varied, so you rarely feel like you're just grinding the same route over and over. The developers manage to balance resource scarcity with progression enough that you're motivated to push forward without constantly feeling locked out. Narrative doesn't take a back seat. The sense of constant war, sacrifice, and grim struggle permeates the story arcs and mission briefings. You feel like your choices carry weight, not just mechanically, but in terms of the world's stakes. The characters, your commanders, the units you invest in, acquire personality over time, and the darker undercurrent of the 40K lore seeps through even when the game is focused on tactics and battles rather than exposition. Because the voice lines, character art, and mission flavor text show that this isn't just another strategy game, but a manifestation of the universe's brutal scale and themes. Of course, for all its polish and ambition, Tacticus isn't flawless. Early on, the multitude of systems, unit upgrades, relic gear, faction choices, ability trees can feel overwhelming, especially for players new to tactics games. There are moments when you wish the tutorial held your hand a little more or explained synergies deeper. The gacha and loot mechanics, though not overly oppressive, creep in. Some of the more desirable units or upgrades come slower than you'd like, which can make certain matchups feel unfair until your roster catches up. On less powerful devices, the heavier visual effects during heated battles can cause frame dips or stutter, which is unfortunate because those are often the moments when clarity is most needed. And though the matchmaking and event rewards are generally solid, in peak competitive tiers, you'll sometimes run into opponents whose collections or refinements overshadow yours, making losses feel like they hinge more on roster strength than pure tactics. Even so, Warhammer 40,000 Tacticus succeeds in delivering a strategic experience that feels worthy of its name. It blends cinematic flair with tactical depth, giving you weighty decisions wrapped in satisfying combat. When you win a tough mission, you don't just feel skill, you feel command. It demands patience, thought, and a willingness to learn. But stay with it, and the payoff is a war game that feels like it deserves to sit alongside the great strategy titles on console or PC. That's all for today's review. We hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more, and we'll see you in the next one.